The following is some information from a woman who studied the act of adultery committed by women. She basically classifies the relationship as a journey or a process that occurs in stages. These stages are very distinct, and women are able to determine for themselves which stage they are currently in. It is important for men to be aware of these stages as well, because they coincide with a change in a woman's emotional state and the beginning of a decline in her desire to engage in sexual activity. So that we can recognize them when they arrive and be ready for them, here is how it begins. Willing at stage 1 will start feeling that something is missing in their lives. Although they have everything that they have ever wanted, a home, a family, and a wonderful husband, they believe that they should be happier over time. During this stage, many women experience a decline in their desire to have sexual encounters. As a result, they may avoid having any sort of physical contact with their husbands, make frequent complaints about their bodies in order to put off having sexual encounters, and avoid going to bed at the same time as their partners. Some women in stage 1 say they feel violated when their husbands touch them, and that their bodies freeze up, and they feel a tightness in their chest and a sick feeling in their stomach. Their husbands view sex as a job, similar to doing the dishes or going to the grocery store. The vast majority of women who are in stage 1 believe that there is something fundamentally wrong with them and that they are flawed in some way. They are also terrified that their lack of interest in sexual activity will cause their husbands to cheat on them or, even worse, leave them. It is at this point that the hypergamous nature of the woman begins to emerge. The honeymoon phase is over, and she is now aware of the repercussions of being in a long-term relationship. It is laughable because most women are unable to explain why they engage in such behavior. Rather, it is something that simply happens to them, and they do not consider themselves to be responsible for it. Then we move on to stage 2, where we are willing to experience a reawakened desire that has been stimulated by an encounter outside of the marital relationship. This encounter could be with a new man involving sex, or it could be a platonic relationship. Stage 2 is when we are willing to experience a reawakened desire. These interactions will carry a great deal of weight and significance for women, and they will remember them. It's kind of like how that woman feels when she's been married for decades and she starts to think about the affair she had with a stranger on a boat. In this stage of life, many women find that they no longer have any desire to engage in sexual activity. These women frequently experience feelings of guilt and regret. They are aware that what they are doing is wrong, and the majority of them will start to experience what is sometimes referred to as an identity crisis. They experience feelings of guilt whenever the subject of cheating is brought up, whether it be in the media, in conversations with family and friends, or at home with their husbands. These constant reminders are everywhere. Women who have reached this stage believe that they are hypocrites whenever they speak out against cheating. These women have a strong desire to cheat and to indulge in risky sexual pleasure, but society is still somewhat successful in preventing them from doing so. Women will begin to question their status as good girls and may begin to feel as though they are not deserving of their husbands. Many women will try to overcome feelings of guilt by becoming more attentive toward and appreciative of their husbands. However, a woman can only keep up the act for a certain amount of time before it begins to show cracks. Therefore, she will transition from appreciation to justification, and women are known to experience emotions in this manner. She will present a variety of reasons to justify her actions, and she will justify her need to cheat by claiming that her desires were not being met, despite the fact that she was the one who initiated the conflict. She will do this in order to justify her need to cheat. She was the one who lost interest in sexual activity and caused this physical distance between them. Women will develop a pessimistic and sarcastic attitude. Because she is unable to directly cause conflict, she will resort to being passive-aggressive. She will nag and spread negativity throughout the house, and during this time she will also have an affair. At this stage, women are either having an affair or are seriously considering getting a divorce. Women who are involved in extramarital affairs report having feelings that are unlike anything else they have felt in the past. They say they have a renewed sense of vitality, and many of them believe they have located their true soul mates. These women believe that they have experienced a second falling in love. However, despite their conviction that what they are doing is immoral and unfair to their husbands, they are unable to put an end to their affairs prior to meeting with their lovers. They will make a solemn oath that this will be the final time they see each other, but they will rarely be able to follow through with this decision because they are unable to give up their extramarital relationships. Women who have reached stage 3 have reached the conclusion that their partners are their soul mates. Many people, because they are unaware that they have developed an addiction to the high that is caused by chemicals that are released during the beginning stages of a relationship, live in a state of limbo for years, debating whether or not they should remain married or whether or not they should end the relationship. At stage 3, this is the question that is constantly going through the minds of women. In the majority of cases, husbands of stage 3 women will make fruitless attempts to make their wives happy by being more attentive, spending more time at home, and helping out around the house, despite the fact that their wives have complained in the past and continue to complain about various aspects of their lives. Many women will give up their desire to separate his search herself because they convince their husbands that they might be able to save their marriage. This is the last thing that women who have reached stage 3 want to do because spending more time with their husbands is the last thing they want to do. They explain to their husbands that the only way things are going to get better is if they can get some time to themselves. Time apart is the only way they see things getting better. At this point in their lives, women want to break free from the confines of marriage so that they can devote more time to their intimate relationships. The majority of people believe that their uncertainty will, at some point, vanish, and that they will, at some point, know with absolute certainty whether they want to continue being married or get a divorce and be with their lovers. At this stage, separation enables women to continue to enjoy the high they experience with their lovers without having to give up on the relationship. The stability that their marriages provide for them. It is common for the husbands of stage 3 women to be unaware that their wives are involved in extramarital affairs. The husband's lack of suspicion is typically the result of their healthy disinterest in sex and their conviction that their wife is a good girl. Women at this stage of their lives often place the utmost importance on finding a new relationship that will give them the feeling that they experience in their affairs. A new relationship with a new partner will also represent a clean slate, giving these women a chance to regain their good girl status. Women at this stage of their lives often place the utmost importance on finding a new relationship that will give them the feeling that they experience in their affairs. During the time that they are separated, some women will look for new partners, while other women will return to their marriages physically but not emotionally, and continue their search. The biggest joke is that women will all of a sudden regain sexual feelings when their husbands also start losing interest in the relationship. It is a very disturbing sign that they are in stage 4 when they have the impression that their husbands are also cheating on them or are considering divorce. In the 4th stage, the women included those who chose to remain married and continue their affairs, as well as those who chose to end their marriages. Some of the women who stayed married and continued their affairs claimed that having an extramarital relationship made their marital sex life better. The women who chose divorce and were in the beginning stages of a new relationship typically expressed relief in having finally made a decision. They also reported feeling normal again. However, they still start feeling guilty at having left their children and previous husbands in such a manner, and that feeling only grows when she realizes it. It's so messed up that it makes me want to throw up. She's feeling the same way in her new marriage after a few years. If you don't keep your frame and your cool, there's no way to stop her from jumping from marriage to marriage. Women will choose the most tried and true method, which is to claim that they're unhappy, and then use this to justify their extramarital affairs when they tell their story. The people will believe her because they were brought up to despise promiscuous women, but now they point the finger at the man who works hard. Despite the fact that studies have shown that more women than men cheat and that the majority of the time men are unaware that their wives are cheating on them, women will continue to stoop to lower and lower levels. Down the rabbit hole of trying to understand their marriage and make sense of it, they are trying to justify a situation that cannot be made real. She cannot seek sexual pleasure elsewhere and live under the money and security of another man at the same time. She will delay everything and complain about how her husband was cruel to her and how he treated her harshly. She will delay the process for as long as she possibly can, and once she realizes that she is losing, she will give up and get a divorce so that she can still come out on top. While the man who is nothing but sincere will pay half of his paycheck to her, hundreds of men go through this process and they come out feeling misogynistic and burning with rage. She is going to play this cycle until she loses her looks. While the man who is nothing but sincere will pay half of his paycheck to her. Hundreds of men go through this process and they come out feeling misogynistic and burning with when she realizes that no one is going to cheat on her. That's when she'll be content to settle down. So for all the married men out there, when she says, "I'm not happy," you had better start getting ready. Don't bother trying to fix things, don't even bother trying to take her somewhere nice, and don't treat her like a normal human being. It's only bad news for you because she's caught up in her own emotional storm, so you should look elsewhere to invest your money. Take care of your children, keep an eye on where she is going, and most importantly, make plans to leave her as soon as possible before she destroys you. That's all for today.